Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're talking about what's happening here in the studio. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I'd like to give you an idea of what's coming. And also, at the end of this session, share with you a brush that I've started to experiment with that I think will help us to create fur a lot more quickly. So, shall we move into it? Here's what we're going to discuss today. First, I wanted to remind you about something that's starting tomorrow, Animal Art Bundles for Good. Then I'll share some paintings in progress. I've started some paintings that I'll show you. I want to talk about refining older courses and get some ideas from you, as well as share ideas for future tutorials. And then I'll share a demo that I did of a new brush, a different kind of brush that I think will help to pick up the pace when creating fur. Animal art bundles for good. Do you remember back in October, we offered art bundles for good? I'm sorry, it's blurry, Anne. Not sure how to fix that. Let's see if it will improve. It might be the internet. Back in October, we offered art bundles for good, and I was part of numbers and numbers and numbers of artists. So it was a huge bundle. And this is similar to that. It's the same person running it, but it's a smaller, it's called Mini Art Bundles for Good, and it's focused on animals. So these are all animal themed courses in all different mediums: color pencil, mixed media, acrylic, pastel pencils. I donated my Conquer. Let me say that again. I'm tongue tied. I donated my Conquer Eyes course. And this will take place starting tomorrow, September 1st, and it will go through September 7th. The price is $49. And then I believe on September 8th, the price will rise to $59. So there's an early bird discount there. I'll send out an email tomorrow so that you can look at the sales page. But the neat thing is that 25% of these profits go to support this charity, which I think is great. Here's a larger version of some of the courses that you'll see, and they look really interesting, and you'll get more detail tomorrow when I provide the link for you. So I hope that you find this helpful. It's always fun to learn from different artists, isn't it? Now, next, I'm excited to share with you some paintings in progress. And first, I'm working on a portrait, a commission for a member of the family. And I'm actually recording this. So if it works out, I'm thinking, oh, I might want to share this with you. This is where I am right now. I've just laid in the first couple washes. The photo's not the best. And I find that's common when painting commissions. It's just difficult to get good photos, and this man has passed away, so this is the best photo that we could find. The nice thing is, when you close up on the eyes, I can see where the pupil is, and that's huge. If you can see where the pupil is and you can see where the highlights are, you can adjust the brightness of the photo to do that. It's so helpful. This is going to fit a standard mat with a 7.5 by 9.5 inch opening. And it's funny. I did a practice run and I used the same formula as I did in the Conquer Eyes course for human eyes. So, yeah, I'm excited about finishing this painting and showing you how it goes. And right now we're in the early stages where we created the beginnings of the eyes, and now we're laying in the foundational colors, the lightest values. So layer by layer, it will become more and more like him. And I'm finding that, I just wanted to tell you real quick, I'm finding that the keys to, excuse me, the keys to creating a painting that actually looks like the person is they're little details in the eyes, just little lines and shapes, and also what's happening in the mouth, especially in the corners of the mouth. That's what I'm finding for this gentleman. because right now it doesn't quite look like him yet, but I know what I need to do to make it look like him. So I'm super excited about finishing that. Now, here's something else I'm working on. Connie, thank you for this reference photo. There it is. I'm practicing in the image on the right. You can see I'm practicing um, layering and practicing all the steps, and I'm also experimenting with the background, and I don't like what I created in the image on the right, so I'm still playing around with backgrounds. What I did is, do you see the center image, and is it still blurry? Could you let me know? Thank you. In the center image, I pasted the image in Microsoft Word and I made the background blurry, and I had to do some cutting and pasting to do that. But I thought, what would happen if I would blur the background? And I'm thinking, can I take some colors from the background and use it in the painting? So now I tried the right side of the background. I didn't really like the color. So now I'm going to experiment with the left side that's a little kind of tan yellow. But I experimented with the bandana and creating the curving in the bandana, as well as how to create different dark and light and mid-tone grays and blacks. And yeah, I think I'm ready to begin the real painting now. So we're doing good. Thank you, Anne. All right. So those are two paintings that are coming. But I also wanted to talk about some older courses. The school was founded in 2017. So 2018, 19, 20, 21. What are we, 6 years old? 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 5 or 6 years old. So some of these older courses, Kitten, the little mongrel, these eyes, the video quality has improved since then. The audio has improved since then. And I've actually updated my formula. I've updated the techniques that I use to create paintings. So I'm thinking I really need to go back and redo some of those older courses to give you the best experience possible. And I'm thinking, what is the best way to do that? How can I update these courses while at the same time create new tutorials for you? And I thought, maybe how about some live sessions where I'm redoing these tutorials? Maybe I could go on a Monday and just paint live for an hour or so. I usually can't go much longer than that. That way I can get some of these older courses refined, meaning I'm going to repaint them and re-record and everything. And at the same time, I could still work on other tutorials. So that's one thing I'm thinking. Just wanted to share it with you. I'm kind of excited about everything here today. So older courses are going to be refined. Now, future tutorials, and these are based on your requests, and I love them all. So here's some things that I have on my list. A koala, human portrait, such as maybe this one, or maybe I've got some other human portraits on my mind. A squirrel, which you might have seen in our private Facebook group. I think I ran that by you. Maybe changing the background a bit, but what a great photo. These are all photos in the public domain. I found them either on Pixabay, Unsplash, or Pexels. Oh, this dog is provided by a member of our school, Connie, and I think that would be a great lesson on how to paint brown. I would love to paint this cat. I'm thinking lions and leopards. I don't have any photos, but it's in my head. I know you've been asking for that. And oh my goodness, look at this kingfisher. Wouldn't that be great? It's a public domain photo, and I've been looking for a kingfisher flying out of water like this. So we could paint the bird, we could paint the water. It would be so cool. And then a quirky chicken, kind of like our quirky ostrich. So those are some ideas that I have listed. And I know it takes about a month to create each one, but yeah, I'm super excited. So I'd love to hear your input on what you think about these upcoming tutorials. Oh my goodness. I'm moving through this so quickly. I don't think this lesson is going to take very long. I hope that's all right with you, because now this is the last thing I wanted to talk about today. And I'm really excited to share this with you. I have to tell you, as I get older, sometimes I get stuck in my ways. You know what I mean? I get used to something, I get used to a certain brush, and if it works, it's great. But I think sometimes you need to stretch yourself. And I've had this brush sitting I've had this brush sitting on my desk for months and months and months. And what happened was where is that? What happened is I was a guest presenter on someone else's website, which I really need to share with you. Her name is Alexandra Kincaid, I think. I'll put the link to her school on the live lesson page. She's a botanical artist, but she said some of her members wanted to learn how to paint animals. So she invited me to demonstrate an animal, and I did a quick squirrel study. And in that study, I experimented with 3 different brushes. My small one that I always use, and then a medium-sized brush that I often use. It's a Princeton, is it Velvet Touch? Is that how you say it? And then I also experimented with this comber brush, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing saves so much time. So I wanted to show you a demo. Here's what the brush looks like. Now I use a comber brush from Rosemary and Company, but there are other brushes that you could use from um, there are other brands that you could purchase. This is just the one I happen to have on hand. So I'm going to show you a demo. So I'm going to pause this. I'm experimenting with the small Michael Klein brush that I always use. And then I'm just grabbing it. Okay, I was just grabbing, it's a Princeton Velvet Touch long round number 6. That's a medium sized brush. And then the comber brush. And what I'm interested in is in this little session, I've got my phone sitting here, and I want to know how long it takes to create fur in part of these shapes and which brush is the quickest while still looking like fur. So that's my goal. Which one helps me create fur the most quickly? So we'll start with the small brush. This is a gray mix of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, the consistency of thin milk. And you pick up just a bit of color on the tip of the barely damp brush. And I turned on my timer. Now I'm going to fast forward through some of this. But this is how I've been creating fur in our courses, and it's absolutely fine. I find creating fur like this therapeutic and relaxing. So I enjoy using this brush. It takes a little longer. You have to rinse the brush. It runs out of paint pretty quickly. But you can create beautiful, realistic fur this way, curving. And that took just to fill that much, let me back this up, just to fill that took 1 minute and 32 seconds. Okay? Now let's try the medium-sized brush. You can see the difference in size. Just mixing up that gray a little bit. Consistency of thin milk. This brush holds a bit more paint, and I'm not used to using this brush, so I had to get warmed up. You want the very tip of the brush to touch the paper. But I know some members of our school like to use this kind of brush. And this, because you don't have to rinse the brush as often, it saves a little bit of time, and you can create nice curving fur, nice thin fur. So that took 59 seconds, 59.88. Now here's the comber brush. And I'm mixing up the color because it tends to separate. You want to fill the brush on both sides. And the tip of the brush is touching the paper. And you can create curving fur with it. The fur is a little thinner, I think, than what I created with the other 2 brushes. And it does take a little practice until you get the technique. Look at that, 27 seconds. So there's the, what am I trying to say? The small Michael Klein brush took 1:33 to create the fur. And I should say there's nothing wrong with any of these brushes. They're all excellent brushes. It's just that the smaller brush takes a little longer. The medium brush, not quite as long because I think it holds more paint so you don't have to rinse the brush as much. And the comber took 27 seconds to fill that. So take it if you think that's useful. Here's a little more. This is a demo. It's coming. Here we go. This is a demo that I did on Alexandra's page or on Alexandra's website, a demo for her members of a squirrel. And I have not shared this in our school yet. There's a squirrel coming, but this was kind of a test run. I've laid in the foundational colors and I'm ready to lay in the first layer of fur. And I'm going to use the same 3 brushes. So I'm aiming for the lightest value of fur. First, the Michael Klein. Going to do some fast forwarding here. And again, if you like to use this brush, this is the brush I use for the courses in our school. And I find this brush especially helpful when creating curving fur. So I'm thinking I would use a combination of these brushes. It's like this is good when you want to create a lot of curving or fur going in different directions. It takes a little longer. So how about the medium-sized brush? It holds more color, so you don't need to rinse it and pick up color as often, which means that the process goes a little faster. And you can create nice, thin, fine hairs. And you can create curving hairs. And I find the first 2 brushes here good for working in small areas and for creating curving. Now, the comber brush, I'm thinking this might be helpful in areas where, in larger areas where I want to get this first layer of fur in more quickly. It just doesn't take as long. And you can still create realistic fur. So what I was thinking as I practiced and experimented here, I was thinking, I could use the smaller brushes for smaller areas, smaller shapes, and curving. And I could use the comber brush for larger areas where I just want to get the color in more quickly, as I'm doing here. It just saves a lot of time. So you might be seeing, and there it is. You might be seeing in future courses this comber brush being used in addition to the other 2 brushes. And I hope that's okay with you. I don't want you to feel like you have to go out and buy a new brush. I want you to use what works best for you. So let's say this is another option. And I'd love to hear what you think. And that's it. Boy, that was a short lesson, wasn't it? But if you have any questions, feel free to email me or throw them in the chat real quick. And this lesson is free to watch for 24 hours. I'd also be interested in hearing how you feel about these shorter lessons. Usually these live lessons are 45 minutes to an hour or even longer. Do you like them when they're shorter? Well, I hope you have a great day. We finally have cooler weather out today. It's been really, really hot and it's been very humid. And we had a thunderstorm yesterday, which seemed to cool things down. So I'm looking forward to getting out and walking today, as well as practicing my trumpet because I just joined a new ensemble. I joined the Allentown Band, which is the oldest band in the country in the United States. And I'm still getting my lipping gear for that, but it's getting better all the time. So yeah, my day now is get back to painting, start the Scottish Terrier, practice trumpet, take a walk, keep working on the portrait, and then later on today I'm going out to eat with some old friends. And It's going to be a good day. And I hope you have a great day too. So we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.